Hello everyone, my name is Ken, and the purpose of this video is to remind myself about the modular character system that I just finished setting up. So, real quick, let's do a demo. So, if I load into the game, the first thing you're going to probably see is now we are no longer Unreal Engine's skeleton or mannequin. So, we now have a full base body. Like, always cracks me up. I need to fix this because that is not natural. We'll have to bend the spine and to look down and stuff like that. But anyways, so this is the new character. The unique thing about this character is that it is spliced up into multiple parts. He's got a head, torso, arms, legs, hands, feet. There's an armor section, beard, hair, as many things as we want. I think those are just the ones I set up for now. And yeah, if I actually go over here, you'll see that there is a t-shirt on the ground and there's some armor on the ground. If I open my inventory, let's make this a little bigger. You'll see that there's an armor slot here, and you'll see over here that he just put on armor. Um, and then there's also this black t-shirt, which currently is just represented by this icon. I need to make an icon for the t-shirt. I just got lazy. So if I pop this in here, he's now wearing a black t-shirt. And the t-shirt also has some slots. So we can, throw things in there. So yeah, and if you wanted to, we could, take this off and that gets dropped back into the world. And then this player here, which is not wearing anything, can put this armor on, and now he's wearing armor. And if this player looks at him, you see he's wearing armor now. So, how does that all work? So let's get into that real quick. Unreal Engine has this article kind of explaining things. There's multiple setup methods you can choose from. They all have, pros and cons. So I'm using the set leader pose component method. And yeah, so the way it works, instead of having a singular mannequin, which you still do have, especially for like artists and stuff, we chop up that mannequin into its different parts, and then we set those skeletal meshes on the player character, and then we swap them out at runtime. So as soon as the player equipped that armor in code, we removed the torso, the naked torso, and put in the t-shirt, which would be this one here. So let's go into the player character. So here's the new character. We've got all of these different meshes now that we have assigned to this mesh here, as these are child meshes. It's still using the same animation. And if I go through each of them, you'll see that they're constructing the legs, the head, the torso. If I just go to this torso and open it, you'll see there's the torso. And because it's a skeletal mesh, it still has all of its bones as if it was the full mannequin. But this is the beauty and the cleverness of this system, is that this is going to follow all the same animations as if you had the full mannequin from previously, but now they're not here. The art is literally gone. So the bones are invisible. All you get to see is this. Um, so yeah, there's arms, there's undies, there's hair, beard, feet, and armor. And there's another component here that I added called the visuals component, character visuals component. This is where you set up all of the defaults for the naked body. So the head, torso, feet, and so on. You're gonna have hair and things like that as well. Um, and then in code, we can go to the player character. Let's go to the header. Oh yeah, so here is our new character visuals component. That is also from here. That also has all of the primary skeletal meshes that I'm calling them. These are the ones that make up the naked body plus underwear. And then there's like secondary ones like armor, shoes, or I guess not shoes. Those would be feet. Um, if there's more, we'll put them here. And then there's some getters, just simple, I want the head mesh, return the head mesh. In code, so there's this new function here now called a init character visuals component. This gets called in the constructor. So we set up all of our other components, and then we initialize this component. This gets the main mesh from the actor, and then we set up each of the new components here. And then what we do is set leader pose component. So this is that method that Unreal was telling us about in that article. So this is basically saying, hey, head mesh, your main mesh is this guy here. Hey, torso mesh, your main mesh, your leader is this main mesh. And of course, the main mesh is this mesh here, which is derived from the parent actor class or the skeletal mesh. So that's how you set that up. And at the very end, we actually construct the visuals component here. And then if we go into that class, the only thing this class is doing is it's tracking what we want to keep as our defaults. So there's this map of defaults that show up here. So we can say the head is this skeletal mesh. The torso is this, so on and so forth. That gets saved in this map here. Then when the player equips a new item onto their equipment slot, we broadcast that change. We're listening for that change here in the character visuals component. So when that change happens, we'll get the slot that changed and the item that was added to that slot. And we say, update our visuals. So what are we doing here? So this is where we do the swap. So it looks a little scary, but it's actually not so bad. So what we're doing is we're getting the skeletal mesh that we're changing. So whatever the slot is. So let's say it was the armor slot. So this is going to say, get me the skeletal mesh for the armor slot. And if you look at this method, all it is a switch statement for now. So if it's the armor, we're going to return the armor slot. And that is part of those getters that I showed earlier. Now, once we have that, what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that it exists. And if it doesn't, we'll remove it. We need to set up, or I'm sorry, we need to get the item instance that we just equipped, and then we need to figure out what the mesh to load is. Before we move on, I'll show you in our items data table. There is a new, here, I'll look at armor. There is a new equipment mesh slot here now, which basically it's exactly that, an equipment mesh. What's the mesh that you're going to swap to when you equip this? And there's also this allowed slots now. So this item is part of the armor slot. And so that is what allows us to, if I play it real fast, you see this armor here. It can't fit into any of these slots. They won't turn green, but it will turn green for this slot and for the hand slot, but nothing else. So that is what the allowed slots is for. So if I added another one and I say, you can put that in the head slot, then the head slot would turn green, but we don't want that. Okay. Oh, make sure this is correct. Nope. Okay. Think we're okay. Didn't break anything. All right, back to this. So we need to figure out the mesh to load. the very first thing we do is we set that to be the default. So if something goes wrong, we're always going to fall back to the default. So if this is a t-shirt that we're trying to equip and it fails for whatever reason, it's just going to equip the naked torso. So we get the item from our item system, we get the definition, and then this is the line where we assign the mesh from that equipment mesh item definition here. So whatever you put here, we'll have it here. This almost always will be pending, and so we're going to get the streamable manager, and this is where we do it at runtime, where we swap out that mesh. So we do an async request on the mesh to load. We give it the path, and then we ask it to create that. And when you're done, to fire this method here, which is called onMeshLoadIt. And what this does is it will remove the slot. I'm sorry, it'll remove the entry from this active slots load. This is how we track what's being loaded. Because it's an async call, we don't have a reference to it, so we have to save it. And then once we have it, we can actually set it here as the new skeletal mesh. So we now have a strong pointer, not a weak pointer. Um, yeah, so that happens here. If it's already loaded, then we don't need to do that. We just load it, and then if that doesn't work, something went wrong. So we just throw a little message and then set that component to null. I think that is everything. Let me also show you the um, mod that I used, or the plugin I used. I guess it's not a plugin, it's technically an asset pack. So this is from Quantum Assets. These are very good. I think they're pretty phenomenal. It was $50 if you want to use it for personal use, or $70 for a professional license. And yeah, I think they work really good. They have um, a lot of options as far as like swapping out different items. They are already compatible with metahumans and UE4, UE5. You can retarget your skeleton if you need to. This isn't an ad, but it's just me showing you what we're using right now. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. So thanks for watching.